So this past summer, I was sat in a cafe in Berlin, and this guy walks up to me and says, "Hey, sublime eyebrows." And I said, "Thanks, I grow them myself." Three things struck me as odd about that compliment. One, sublime. Two, what an arbitrary thing to compliment somebody on. I can't imagine walking up to somebody and saying, "Hey, sublime ear cartilage." And three, is eyebrow flirting a thing? Because growing up, these were the bane of my existence. Let me explain. My father is Portuguese. My mother is Lebanese. I am born and raised in rural Quebec. So all the kids on the playground were Quebecois, with their beautiful pale French skin and their glistening green eyes and their adorable freckles. And then there was me, with my caterpillars and like my olive skin that in most light looks like this yellow mottled green color. And so I was bullied really badly. There was this one guy, I'll never forget it. His name was Scott Glass, the dick. He bullied me every day, all day. There was this one time, I still cringe when I think about it. I was on a school bus full of children, and he said to me, "When you were born, God thought your face was your cunt, so he put hair all over it." I was 11 years old. And you know, you grow up watching The Little Mermaid, and Ariel has these thin eyebrows, and you just think to yourself, no one in my neighborhood looks like me, no one on TV looks like me, no one on the playground looks like me. I must be rough and coarse and ugly. But then the 90s hit. And do you guys remember the 90s when the thing was to have like no eyebrows or super, super thin like Marlene Dietrich? And I hit puberty in the 90s, and I discovered this instrument that some of you may have heard of called tweezers. And I was like, amazing, an opportunity to rid my face of these bushy demons burning a hirsute path across my face. So I plucked these things within an inch of my life. This one kind of looked like the long division symbol, and this one kind of looked like the square root symbol. But still, no matter how much I changed the way that I looked, I would still get these mildly racist comments from people. People would come up to me and be like, "Oh, where are you from?" "Oh, I'm from Trois-Rivières." "No, where are you really from?" "Oh, you're half and half." "Half and half is what you put in your coffee." "Oh, I didn't know the Portuguese and the Lebanese got along." Well, they don't. My parents are divorced. "So, which side do you identify more with?" "Well, I'm both, so deal with it." I had this one woman, complete stranger, come up to you on the street and say, "You look like you're from a race that hasn't been invented yet." And then she goes, "No, I mean it as a compliment." No, I mean you look like Kim Kardashian." And I'm like, "You're making this worse." And my whole life, I changed myself in every way a person can change themselves, because I was so ashamed of my ethnicity, and I was so embarrassed about the way that I looked. And I, like ladies, you know what I'm talking about. I plucked, and I waxed, and I threaded, and I bleached, and I used depilatory creams and laser hair removal. I did everything I could just to fit in, because I just wanted to be part of the game. I just wanted to be part of this brow game that everybody else seems to be a part of and like innately understand, except for me. I just wanted to be a player in the game. And then one day I realized, well, I create the game. And so it was only in my late 20s when I was like, you know what? I'm growing these suckers in. And if anybody thinks that I'm ugly because I have thick eyebrows, then screw them, because I'm awesome. And if you don't want awesome in your life, that's your problem. So I grew them in, and the strangest thing happened. The bane of my existence somehow turned into my greatest asset. So I've been living in Europe for years and years, and every time I'm in Amsterdam, my favorite thing to do is to photograph street art and graffiti. I'm a big street art fan. And my favorite street artist in Amsterdam is named Laser314, and he spray paints his poetry up on the walls of Amsterdam. And it's actually really lovely and really meaningful and really potent. And so every time I was in Amsterdam, I was photographing his stuff. And then I found his Facebook page. So I sent him some of the photographs I had taken. And we kind of struck up a correspondence. So every time I was in Amsterdam, he would say, here's the latest locations of my work so you can photograph. And we kind of became friendly, so much so that he eventually gave me the street name Browse. Because clearly this is the only reason people want to talk to me. It's not because of my winning personality. So the last time I was in Amsterdam was just this past September. And I sent him a message and I was like, hey, I'm in town. And he was like, okay, cool, here's the latest locations of my work. Go photograph, go have fun. And so I found like 12 of his pieces that day, and the very last piece that I found, he had spray painted in a really busy intersection in the heart of the city, up on the wall in big lettering, her brows were all it took. So now, I know that if somebody's eyebrow flirting with me, I know to say, yeah, my brow game's tight.